Welcome Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barito. Let's take a look at the headlines. The Communications Minister says press freedom continues to remain vital to this country. The Ministry of Sport launches its Occupational Safety and Health Policy Statement and a state-of-the-art facilities to provide visitors with an engaging, enjoyable and memorable experience in science, technology and innovation. Thank you for joining us. Communications Minister, the Honorable Jamal Mohammed, says press freedom continues to remain vital to this country and it's the exercising of its democratic rights. The minister was speaking at this week's post-cabinet media briefing where he assured his support to the media here in Trinidad and Tobago.
Press freedom remains vital and continues to be upheld here in Trinidad and Tobago. While the freedom of press is built into our constitution, Communications Minister Jamal Mohammed says the development of the media and its relations remain vital to this country's democracy.
Press freedom is a very, very important part of the operations of the government of Trinidad and Tobago. And I would like that we leave it at that, and we'll do what we can to ensure that we have a free press in Trinidad and Tobago. We may not agree with what you print or what you publish, but we will give our lives to ensure that you have the freedom to print and publish what you would like to do.
He assures that his role as Communication Minister serves to support press freedom, while at the same time maintain that relations between the watchdogs of society and government remain strong.
The media in Trinidad and Tobago has the full support and cooperation of the government of Trinidad and Tobago. We viewed freedom of the press and press freedom as a very important aspect of our development here in Trinidad and Tobago. And your best friend in this government is the Minister of Communications. Minister
Mohammed adds that upholding press freedom is something to be valued by this country.
The government of Trinidad and Tobago stands firmly behind the media of Trinidad and Tobago. Press freedom is something we value a great deal in Trinidad and Tobago, and we'll do what we can do to ensure that we have a free press in Trinidad and Tobago.
Under Section 4 of the Trinidad and Tobago Constitution, freedom of expression and freedom of the press is enshrined as a part of fundamental human rights. Kimberly Ramkalawan, News 4.
Meanwhile, going beyond time and cultural boundaries is the ability to appeal to the eyes and ears through audiovisual documents. In commemoration of World Day of Audiovisual Heritage, the Government Information Services Limited hosted a walk down memory lane to remember the numerous historical moments captured and to showcase its many services offered to its stakeholders.
The power to capture key moments in our history through audiovisual documents to only be seen and heard years later has proven to transform society and go beyond the test of time. Here in Trinidad and Tobago, audiovisuals has long existed, but ensuring the preservation and safeguarding of these timeless documents requires establishing value for these precious records. In recognition of this, and an attempt to gain awareness, is World Day of Audiovisual Heritage, declared by UNESCO in 2005 and recognized on October 27th. Here in Trinidad and Tobago, the landscape of media has much evolved since television was introduced in 1962. From a single television station to several TV entities and local programming, broadcast has left a world full of memories. Looking back at the decades of recordings and achievements captured, Communication Minister Jamal Mohammed says preserving these artifacts is needed for generations to come.
But it is our history. It is what will define us as a people. And nowhere was that more evident this year when we celebrated our 50th anniversary as an independent nation. Everyone wanted a bit of history from 1962. We want a tape, we want a recording, we want a picture. What was happening? And we could not have supplied that information if those people back in 1962 did not have the courtesy and the foresight to take pictures, to file things, to record things. So it is our duty now, when we celebrate the 100th anniversary of our independence, and I'll be there, when we celebrate the 100th anniversary of our independence, we would have perfect records of everything. I am envisioning a building where our children and our students from schools can walk in and take a look at the history of the media in Trinidad and Tobago.
The walk down memory lane took place as GISL came together to host its stakeholder event in recognition of this year's theme, Audiovisual Heritage Memory, The Clock is Ticking. But capturing these moments are more than just what's on tape, but as Minister Mohammed notes, it's the skills and talents in the people behind the scenes that make it all happen.
The people who have plugged in the microphones, the people who have put up the screens, who have put together tapes, who have done so many things in the media on behalf of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, we must find a suitable place for them. Not only the presenters and the announcers, but the technical people. We have to understand what it is like to be a cameraman, a soundman, an engineer, all of the different facets and the different aspects of the media and how these people work and all of the machines that are involved. And that is why the National Media Museum is so important. You're getting a glimpse of it behind you. Some of the equipment that was used those years gone by and some of the equipment we use today.
An important point and gesture made by Andy Johnson, CEO of GISL, is continuous capturing of our cultural identity by each and every citizen.
Everyone can participate as far as possible in preserving our audiovisual heritage. We witness or participate in events that are critical to understanding who we are as a people. Many persons enjoy using the cameras on their electronic devices to point and shoot, but are often reluctant to document the images they capture. Many videographers are recording events, scenes, people, and places, whether as a hobby or work assignment. Do we consider how to assist in preserving these recordings?
The event served as one that highlighted the role and services of the Government Information Services Limited as a purveyor of archive footage and premier production house. Kimberly Ramkalawan, News 4.
News 4 continues after the break. Stay with us.
But I'll tell you today that the Hoop of Life, put simply, is a community basketball league program which brings new energy into our depressed communities.
Welcome back. The Ministry of Sport has launched its Occupational Safety and Health Policy (OSH) statement. The OSH policy confirms the commitment of the ministry regarding the safety and health of its employees and other stakeholders.
The Sport Ministry has implemented their Occupational Safety and Health Policy following a mandate imposed upon all ministries to comply with the provisions of the Occupational Safety and Health Act 2004. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Sport, Ashwin Creed, says occupational safety and health is not only the responsibility of employers but also employees. It is on this note he is asking all employees at the ministry to be vigilant and help foster a safe working environment.
Active participation of all staff members is critical if we are to foster and create a culture of safety and health in the Ministry of Sport. To do this, our sport family must be vigilant and report any or all unsafe situations or conditions as they become aware of them. Such immediate action will afford the OSH Committee the opportunity to act quickly and decisively to avoid or curtail any unsafe practice. I encourage all staff to pay attention to the information being disseminated by the OSH committee or any other bona fide source. Our workforce needs to be strong and healthy, physically and mentally.
The policy statement was written and its implementation overseen by an OSH committee put together by the ministry. The committee was responsible for creating a policy which addresses all job safety issues. It has also been given the mandate to ensure the safety and welfare of the employees of the Ministry of Sport and other stakeholders in compliance with the OSHA Act. The committee also has other responsibilities, including ensuring of existence and maintenance of safe working conditions for all workers and investigating and resolving any matter involving risks to workers' health and safety in the workplace. Gregory McBurney, News 4.
In other news, a sprawling site of 52 acres of state lands provides the exciting opportunity for expanding the idea of a national science centre into a national science city. Speaking at the sword-turning event, Minister of Science and Technology, the Honourable Dr. Rupert Griffith, says it will house state-of-the-art facilities for providing visitors with an engaging, enjoyable and memorable experience in science, technology and innovation.
Finally, the dream of a world-class facility for fun, experimental learning of science and technology is about to be realized in the Neahus Science City at Indian Trail in Couva. The minister says it has taken over 2 decades since the birth in the 1998 of Iapolo, the traveling exhibition that was once a household name in Trinidad and Tobago, and 14 years since the opening of the temporary National Science Centre in Dabidi as home of Iapolo.
The current National Science Centre draws huge crowds to its signature event, but it is bursting at its seam. Some of our citizens will have visited state-of-the-art centres and museums abroad, so they will already appreciate what they have to offer. And the many more who have not had that opportunity will now be able to enjoy the same experiences right here at home in the heart of the country. But what might be easier for the average citizen to miss is the vital importance of this science city to national development.
The city will be a model of environmentally sustainable practice in building and design, and will boast of Family Innovation Center, an outdoor discovery park, Kids Buzz, specially designed for children 8 years old, and many more.
This is not a luxury. It is not just a worthwhile place for people to patronize in their spare time. This is a necessity for these modern times. If we are serious as a nation about advancing science and technology, and if we understand the kind of new thinking and new education approaches and increased public awareness, that must underpin that advancement or that achievement. We need to keep national attention and interest focused on science and technology, and we need the right purpose-built space to do so.
The minister says in the drive to create a more diversified and knowledge-intensive economy, Neahus Science City will represent a giant leap into the future for all people of Trinidad and Tobago.
This science city, we need to provide new avenues for our youth, our young people, and the students to become more excited and interested in science in ways they may not get in schools.
From the humble origins, Neahus had begun to sense the possibilities for human capital formation and national development based on science learning experiences far removed from classroom encounters, and which were fun, hands-on, and easy to understand. Joseph Lopez, News 4.
And that sprawling site is actually 52 acres of state lands. Sport is up right after the break.
We are reporting from communities across the country. People are calling Nalis Libraries their library. Tell me, why is Nalis your library?
My library is where I can have fun learning.
My library is helping me earn better grades with online research resources.
My library is my gateway to the world of information.
My library is providing access to the differently abled. As a visually impaired person, I can envision limitless possibilities.
My library is making my world truly worldwide with free internet access.
My library is helping me keep an eye on my health with access to the virtual health library via the Nalis website.
Nalis is my library.
The long-awaited Trinidad and Tobago Football Federation presidential election is scheduled for November 11, 2012. Many fans, stakeholders, and indeed the Ministry of Sport will be keeping an interest in the proceedings leading up to the day. Acting President Lennox Watson is expected to contest the election, and a second candidate declared himself on Thursday. Wayne Cunningham has the details.
Insurance Executive Raymond Timke on Thursday declared his candidacy for the president of the Trinidad and Tobago Football Federation at a media briefing held at the VIP room of the Hazley Crawford Stadium.
I have decided that on assuming the office of president of TTFF, my first major objective will be to restore the confidence and credibility the Federation has lost in the eyes of most of our supporters, corporate citizens, and indeed the Ministry of Sport. In fact, rebranding the Federation will be engaging much of the organization's time and effort. A new image is a strategic imperative and will reside on a foundation of respect, transparency, public scrutiny, financial integrity, accountability, and due diligence.
The former Federation Vice President is confident that he could lead Trinidad and Tobago football back to its regional heights.
We'll take football back to the glorious heights. The heights we attained in the 70s when we were cheated in Haiti. You all would remember that. Some of you too young to know about that, but you must have heard about it. In 1980, when we went down to the USA, and of course 2006, when we went to Germany. We must restore that glory and national pride. I don't know any organization that is positioned to excite our national community as we. We must assist clubs in structuring and operating their units. Clubs have died out because there's no support and there's no guidance. We must, with the support of the Sports Ministry, assist their regional associations. We must pay particular attention to our development programs from pre-teen level to the senior level. We must re-establish coaching academies. We'll establish a strategic planning committee which will be advisory in nature.
Mr. Timke sees government's continued funding of football as vital for the survival of the sport, but has indicated he will seek alternative sources of revenue.
We will have a program and a committee specifically dedicated to going to the corporate world, with me of course, and negotiating for assistance, not assistance, let me not say assistance, for support. And I say for not assistance because organizations don't give assistance because there's something that they look for out of that. Okay? So there are no free lunches. There are no free lunches. When they give you $10, they expect to get a return on that investment, either through advertising, some sort of brand awareness situation, something.
With the Caribbean Cup semi-final round scheduled to be contested in Trinidad and Tobago from November 14th, Mr. Timke plans to begin working immediately if elected.
One of the first things I have on my agenda is to inform the Ministry of Sport that I am now seated in the President's chair, and I would request a meeting as soon as practicable with the minister and or his permanent sec, or both. And because we have this tournament here from the 14th, okay? And we don't have the luxury of time for no set of handsy-pansy. We have to get on, hit the ground running, and therefore I would hope that I could call him even Sunday evening after the results of the election if I were to be successful, and arrange for a meeting for Monday if I have to.
Wayne Cunningham, News 4 Sports.
The Trinidad and Tobago Rally Club has launched its latest rally car competition, the Reformed Rally Finale. The event, which takes place later this month, is being touted as a battle not to be missed.
Reformed Rally Finale will take place on October 28th at Reform in South Trinidad. The rally will start at 9 a.m. and see drivers head southbound on the highway, come off at Reform Turnoff or Gasparilla Bypass Road after Gasparilla Flyover, and then head east. The launch of the event, however, was overshadowed by the news that Trinidadian rally car driver John Penty Powell was selected by American carmaker Ford to drive for them at an international rally car event. Powell will drive for M Sport Ford World Rally Team at the Federation Internationale de l'Automobile, or FIA World Championship Rally de España race being held in Spain on November 8th to 11th. This is the first time that any driver from the English-speaking Caribbean has been offered a seat with a manufacturer at the World Rally Championship. Powell says he intends to use the opportunity to make the Caribbean proud and expresses his gratitude to all who plan to support him.
It's just to really drive sensibly and to really do not only Trinidad proud and you guys proud, but all the Caribbean, Barbados, Jamaica, everybody, to be proud. And for those of you who can come or who are going to support and follow the event, thank you very, very much for your support. Thank you very much for coming.
Powell was selected by Ford after his performance at the prestigious North and Central American Rally Championships. While at the NACAM Championship, Powell kept within the top 3 standings throughout the entire tournament. That performance was a follow-up to many successful performances throughout the Caribbean over the past few years by Powell, including wins in TNT, Barbados, Jamaica, and Guadeloupe. Gregory McBurney, News Sports 4.
News 4 continues after the break. Stay with us.
The iPhone 4S has an all-new camera with 8 megapixels and advanced optics. So it lets you capture stunning photos. And because it's an iPhone, you can do things you never imagined possible with a camera. So maybe the only camera you need is the one on the most amazing iPhone yet.
A program that will give hope, that will give purpose, that will give opportunities to those who are directly involved in the program. And this program will touch several others in many ways. To begin with, this program will involve over 60 teams from 12 sectors, 12 communities all across Trinidad and Tobago. This program involves participants between the ages of 16 and 35, and is a program principally for those persons living in at-risk areas, so as to help them to turn their lives around in a positive way.
A multicultural exposition took place, a musical journey through time, hosted by the Ministry of Planning and Sustainable Development. The theme of the exhibition, Nostalgia and Continuity, the Indian Classical Folk Experience.
The exposition's musical journey is being presented as a result of the overwhelming results the committee received on May 18th of this year. It's a presentation of Indian folk singing in a form that has evolved from 1845 onwards and is known as local classical singing, Ton Singing, Ten Singing, and of course, Baitak Ghana. Emerging out of the sugarcane plantation from a memory of music known to the indentured laborers, local singing has developed a character of its own, and for the most part, is not influenced by Bollywood-type music. Just as this nation of Trinidad and Tobago have evolved over the past few years, so too have the local classical art form of Indian music. The show highlighted performances from a combination of veterans such as Mrs. Lily Ramcharan Moon, as well as young and upcoming artists like Dubraj Prasad, Ravi Jagrup, Vijay Ramkisoon, and of course Nirmala Sasnarayan, who all presented local classical at its best. Joseph Lopez, News 4.
Well, that's how we wrap up this edition of our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barreto. Thank you so much for joining us.